prepare the chambers and call the absent members. Clerk will call the roll.
Adams, Amiano, Anderson, Arambula, Bell, Bill Berryhill, Tom Berryhill, Blakesley, Block, Blumenfield, Bradford, Brownlee, Buchanan, Caballero, Calderon, Carter, Chesbro, Conway, Cook, Cotto, Davis, De La Torre, De Leon, DeVore, Emerson, Ing, Evans, Fior, Fletcher, Fong, Fuentes, Fuller, Furutani, Gaines, Galgiani, Garrick, Gilmore, Hagman, Hall, Harkey, Hayashi, Hernandez, Hill, Huber, Huffman, Jeffries, Jones, Knight, Liu, Logue, Lowenthal, Ma, Mendoza, Miller, Monning, Nava, Nastande, Nilo, Nilsson, Norby, John A. Perez, V. Manuel Perez, Portantino, Ruskin, Salas, Saldana, Silva, Skinner, Smythe, Solorio, Strickland, Swanson, Torlickson, Torres, Tarico, Tran, Valines, Yamada. Madam Speaker.
Members, a quorum is present. I'd like to ask our visitors in the gallery and all members in the chamber to please stand. We will ask Father Constantine Papadimos to offer this morning's prayer.
Good morning. Let us pray. Lord, Benjamin Franklin offered a profound insight. He said, "The longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs the affairs of men." Lord, we can be passionate about our dreams, but our dreams can become an idol. Rather than force things to happen on our own timetable, it is sometimes better to let go and allow you to bring them to pass. You already know what we want and what we need. Help us to stay open and to trust you to bring all good things to pass. Amen.
Thank you. Please remain standing for this morning's Pledge of Allegiance, led by Assemblymember Nilo. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We move on now to reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Friday, February 17, 2010. Assembly met at 6:30 a.m. Honorable William W. Monning, Assembly Member 27th District, presiding. Chief Clerk E. Dotson Wilson at the desk. Assistant Clerk Timothy Moreland reading. The roll was called. Amiano, Anderson, Arambula, Tom Berryhill, Blakesley, Bradford, Brownlee,
Mr.
Chesbrough.
Tarico moves. Mr. Hagman seconds. Reading of previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentation of petitions, there are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read. Amendments deemed adopted. We have no messages from the Governor nor messages from the Senate. We'll move on now to motions and resolutions. Mr. Tarico.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning. I request unanimous consent to allow the following members to adjourn in memory today. Assemblymember Brownlee, Assemblymember Calderon, Assemblymember Conway, Assemblymember Ng, Assemblymember Gaines, Assemblymember Harkey, and Assemblymember Knight.
Without objection.
Madam Speaker, I request unanimous consent for the desk to be held open on Friday, February 19th for the purpose of bill introductions until 5 p.m.
Without objection. Assembly members Fletcher, Fuller, and Valines are away on legislative business, and Assembly members Carter and Garrick are out due to illness today. Members, we are prepared to take up business before us this morning. If you could please take your seats. Okay. We have the Members, if you could please take your seats. We have some business to take up today on the daily file. We're going to begin with concurrence. File item 1 is pass and retain. File item 2 by Ms. Skinner. She is prepared to take that up. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 510 by Assembly Member Skinner, an act relating to energy.
You may open, Ms. Skinner.
Yeah, I can. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, the bill that's before you is the net energy metering bill that passed this House before we in the last session, or wasn't last session. I guess we're in the same session, but anyway. And what the bill does is maintains California's leadership in renewable energy policy by increasing the current net metering cap, which is necessary to continue our solar program, which was created in 2006. The measure would increase the cap from the existing 2.5% to 5%. There are over 40,000 customers representing over 500 megawatts who participate in net metering. And it's important from a customer perspective because it's one of the only options that's available to customers to hedge against electricity costs. There is only very minor opposition to the bill. The Senate, we passed it at a 10% cap. The Senate reduced it to 5%. The bill has bipartisan support, and it's strongly supported by cities and counties, large and small businesses, PG&E, and Southern California Edison, and I ask for your support.
Members, before I recognize other speakers on this bill, could we please have quiet on the floor? Mr. Adams has requested to speak. Mr. Adams.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Members, I rise in strong support of this legislation. I'm proud to add my name to the list of growing co-authors. In a nutshell, members, without getting into the specifics of how this bill actually works, what is important to note is that this bill helps advance the cause of good, responsible stewardship of the environment while also trying to provide ratepayers and stakeholders with an opportunity to help California get ever greener. Members, I think this is a solid bill that deserves your support, and I would encourage an aye vote.
Seeing no further discussion, Ms. Skinner, you may close.
Thank you. I think that I've laid out what the bill does, and as I indicated, the only difference between what we passed and what we have before us is that what we passed was a cap of 10%, and the Senate reduced it to 5%. And I ask for your support. Thank you.
Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 53, noes 1. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, the remaining items on the third reading file are all pass and retain. That concludes our business for floor today, except for adjourn in memories. Also, our schedule for the coming week. Tomorrow, Friday, February 19th. No floor session. Monday, February 22nd, floor session at 12 noon. Tuesday, February 23rd, floor session at 3:45 due to the State of the Judiciary address at 4 p.m. Wednesday, February 24th is check-in session. Thursday, the 25th, floor session at 9:30. Friday, the 26th, no floor session, no check-in session. Also, members, we do have on March 8th a special session, Women of the Year ceremony at 11 a.m. Please make sure you have the information turned in to honor the Women of the Year that you are recognizing. We have an introduction of a guest on the floor. Ms. Ma would like to welcome. Ms. Ma, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to welcome Ms. Lily Marshall Fricker. She is a constituent in my district. She's also a San Francisco Youth Commissioner and an avid follower of San Francisco politics, and her father, Billy Fricker, in the back.
Welcome to the chamber. We move on now to request to adjourn in memory. The following members have made requests: Ms. Brownlee, Mr. Calderon, Ms. Conway, Mr. Eng, Mr. Gaines, Ms. Harkey, Mr. Knight. We will begin with the adjourn in memory with Ms. Brownlee.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I rise today to adjourn in the memory of my good friend and Santa Monica resident, Larry Gertler. I had the privilege of getting to know Larry over the years, primarily connected to his lifelong commitment and devotion to issues surrounding the fight against poverty and social injustice. Larry served on the board of the Liberty Hill Foundation in Santa Monica for 13 years and was an active volunteer and generous supporter of countless progressive organizations. He was a successful entrepreneur, noted for the ethical way in which he conducted his own business. He was a founder and president of All American Home Center, still the largest independent home improvement store in the nation. Lanny will be remembered as a caring grandparent, a committed father, and as the loving husband of his wife, Judith Gertler, for 47 years. He was a man who led an honorable life and led by his example and the encouragement he gave to so many others. Lanny will be dearly missed. Please join me in extending our deepest condolences to Lanny's family and friends, and I adjourn in his memory today.
Thank you, Ms. Brownlee. Members, before we continue, we have several other adjourn in memories. Mr. Calderon's is next. You have an adjourn in memory today, Mr. Calderon. It was requested. Okay. So, members, if I could please have you direct your attention to the members who are adjourning in memory today. We'll move on to Ms. Conway.
Speaker, I rise today to adjourn in memory for Robert Bowman. Although it says Robert, he was just Bob to everybody. Bob served in the U.S. Army as a second lieutenant stationed in Okinawa, Japan during World War II. He later graduated from Cal Poly State University, San Luis Obispo in 1950 with a Bachelor of Science in Animal Sciences. While attending college, Bob was elected as student body president. Bob was well known in Tulare County as well as state and nation for his contributions to the agricultural industry and agricultural education. He was honored in 2000 as Tulare County's Agriculturist of the Year. Bob spearheaded the foundation of Future Farmers of America, FFA, and was elected to be the first national president from California in 1941. His dedication to vocational agriculture culminated in 2005 as he helped establish the first California FFA Center in Galt. He served the agricultural industry by serving on many boards, including the Ag Council of California, Association of California Water Agencies, or ACWA, Friant Water Users Authority, and many others. He also established the first private wetland preserve in Tulare County. Bob is survived by his wife, Gloria, of 58 years, 6 daughters, 16 grandchildren, 10 great-grandchildren. Bob often said that his 6 girls were his greatest investments. Bob was an all-around good guy, always made you happy to see him, always first with a handshake. He will be sorely missed, not only by his family, but agriculture in California. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Ms. Conway. We move on to Mr. Eng.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I had the honor and privilege of going to UCLA School of Law. And let me tell you about one of my classmates, Megumi Dick Osumi. I was surprised because this classmate, during the most difficult times of final exams and studying in my first year, was hardly ever around. I later found out that he was hardly ever around because he volunteered in the community representing the homeless. He volunteered in the community fighting for redress and reparations for Japanese Americans who lost their lives during World War II, figuratively, when they went to camp. So therefore, I am deeply saddened to ask this esteemed body to adjourn in the memory of Megumi Dick Osumi, who died recently. He earned a bachelor's and master's degree and a Juris Doctorate degree. He's on the board of directors of the Little Tokyo Service Center, the Asian American Drug Abuse Program. He participated in the Little Tokyo People's Rights Organization, LT Pro, the Asian Law Collective, the National Coalition for Redress and Reparations. His was a life well lived, a life spent in the furtherance of justice for not just Japanese Americans, not just for Southern Californians, but for all people of all colors. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Eng. Please bring the information for Mr. Osumi to the desk. Members, we have just a few more adjourn-in memories. If you could, please keep your conversations quiet for the remaining adjourn-in memories. Please direct your attention to Mr. Gaines. Mr. Gaines.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I rise for an adjourn in memory of Jennifer Renee McCullough, who was born May 12, 1962, to proud parents of Jack and Tony Sweeney at Marshall Hospital in Placerville. Jack Sweeney is a county supervisor and just a great guy, a great family, and it's really sad to see his daughter pass so early in life. She passed away Sunday morning, February 8th, of complications related to a fall from a horse. One of her greatest passions in life was horses, riding them, training them, and teaching others to ride them. She was a horse trainer and riding teacher with Ride and Shine and was an active member of the Highway 50 Wagon Train Association. Jennifer is survived by her husband, Kurt, and her children, Philip and Jessica. She was preceded in death by her mother, Tony Sweeney, and is survived by her father, Jack, sister Denise, brother Bob, and sons James, brother Dallas, and his wife Trish, and son Austin, and an extended family of aunts and uncles and cousins. So if your thoughts and prayers could please be with the Sweeney family, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gaines. Ms. Harkey, you have requested to do an adjourn in memory.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I today adjourn in memory of a very dear friend, a longtime political ally and just good guy, Mike Eggers. Mike was 60 years old, died of a heart attack 2 days ago. He started out as a local newspaper reporter, I believe, and up until he died, he did columns in local papers, but he also helped Congressman Ron Packard get elected on a write-in ballot. Now, that was an amazing feat, but he helped with that initiative, and we had a congressman elected in Southern California on a write-in ballot. He was chief petitioner to have my city of Dana Point incorporated, and he was served on the first council and was mayor of that city. He was named Citizen of the Year in 1988, and he spent 3.5 years in San Juan Capistrano after that time, where he moved with his wife and his family, and he was on the Planning Commission there for several years. He also worked for a lobbyist, Southern California Edison, and it's amazing. This guy had a real sense of humor. But he walked in one time in a white hazardous materials suit, walked into a meeting and said, "I am a nuclear spokesman. If you see me running, try to catch up." I mean, Mike had a great sense of humor. And he made friends and he made a lot of enemies because he never was one to mince words. He told it how it was, called it how he saw it, and he was absolutely devoted to his community and to Southern California and the state. And so I adjourn in his memory. I think we're going to miss him terribly. I believe he left behind 2 grown children. I did not know them, and a wife, Kathy. So thank you in remembering Mike Eggers on this day. A great human being, a good guy, and a lifelong friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harkey. We go to our final request to adjourn in memory. Mr. Knight.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I adjourn in memory to speak on one of our true business pioneers in the Antelope Valley. Mr. Duke Bloom died this past week, and he was one of the people that we looked up to in the Antelope Valley as one of our people that just was one that was always there to volunteer, was always there to help out, was always there to establish the group or help the group, and the list of organizations that he was involved with was just too long to mention, but I will go through a few of them. He established Duke and Slim's TV store in 1959, which still thrives today after 51 years of business. And Duke was a chairman of the Antelope Valley Chamber of Commerce, as well as the vice president, as well as the treasurer in certain years. He was for 18 years the organizing annual Christmas and Antelope Valley Fair parades. He was also a junior Chamber of Commerce vice president, a search and rescue pilot, a member of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Reserves, founding director of the Antelope Valley Sheriff's Boosters Club, and a member of the Lancaster Community Hospital Advisory Board. Duke was our Newsmaker of the Year a few years back from the Antelope Valley Press. He was the Antelope Valley Fair Board's Blue Ribbon Award winner about 6 years ago. And last summer, he became a director of the Lancaster Performing Arts Center Foundation, which raises money for its theaters and programs. Duke will be thoroughly missed. He is survived by his wife, Roberta, and 6 children, 7 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. I hope that we can keep his family in our thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. And all the members who adjourned in memory today, please bring information to the desk so the lives of the people you have adjourned for can be entered into the journal. I believe we have one announcement. Mr. Portantino has requested that I let you all know. Mr. Huffman, happy birthday to you, sir. If there is no further business to come before this House and a request to adjourn or a motion to adjourn is in order, Mr. Adams has moved. Mr. Adams has moved. Mr. De Leon has seconded that this House be adjourned. All those in favor, please signify by aye. The ayes have it. Quorum call is lifted. We are adjourned. Members, the Rules Committee is meeting immediately in the Rules Committee room. Rules Committee, meeting on adjournment in Rules Committee room.